Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Rapid Results with Andrew Weiss. We have another amazing guest today, Tim Winter. And I was so excited to talk with Tim, hearing his passion, hearing about his career stories. And in case you don't know who this Tim guy is, he's an executive coach who's a purpose and people driven leader who has substantial executive experience. He places a high premium on talent acquisition and development towards building effective teams. He loves to focus on long-term vision, mission, and purpose. He has an extensive resume of success, and so I thought I got to get behind the brain of this guy, see what he's all about. And so, Tim, tell us, what's the biggest and best business deal you're most proud of?
Whoa. Well, first, Andrew, thanks for having me on the show. I
Of
appreciate it.
course.
I appreciate what you're doing out there. I would say it was probably the early days of Hollywood entertainment when we raised $54 million in the public market. And I think people thought we were crazy. And that stock soon, doubled and tripled and split. I remember there was a group of Blockbuster executives who came into a store and they were making fun of us that we were going public. And, despite all that, we still were very successful and had a successful acquisition of a company down in Texas that we used the money. Up until that point, most of our growth was organic. And then we started to grow through acquisition and obviously needed capital to do that. That's
That,
probably what I'm most proud of because that was really the launch pad to get us to 3,000 stores that got us to a $1.2 billion exit.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, how the heck can I grow to a company that has $1 billion exit and is able to persevere through all the haters? And I doubt you came out of the womb knowing how to do all this. So tell us a little bit like how you even got to this top of the mountain peak moment essentially.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think, I always believe some of it's luck. There's a fair amount of luck in it. And then, for me personally, I just worked harder than anybody else. I had this ridiculous work ethic when I was a kid, and I just worked harder than anybody else. When I really, really dissected as I get older, as my career's coming kind of slowing down, I really think about what was the pivot point, what really changed it. And it was, I wasn't smarter than anybody else. I wasn't more educated. In fact, I didn't go to university. I, um, I had this ridiculous work ethic and I was always willing to work harder than anybody else. And I think that's what made the difference. And you can get into it with standards. And I had very, very high standards in retail, which I started my career in, is all about details and standards and having a great shopping experience. And I think if you're able to do that, and then I was able to do that, not only in one store, but in several hundred stores, and I think that made all the difference in the world, really. And then at the end of the day, okay, so that's just me personally, but at the end of the day, no matter what company or no matter, it's the people you're able to attract and retain because nobody does this by themselves. And it is surrounding yourself with great people who are inspired. It's by you as the leader creating an environment. I call it a heroic environment where people feel valued and appreciated and can do the best work they've ever done. But that's really the crux of it is, for me, it was, I didn't walk into with a big resume. I mean, I've interviewed, I can't tell you how many people I've interviewed who graduated from Harvard University.
Wow.
And, they always ask me, and I go, well, I didn't go to school. And there's reasons for that. I mean, there's reasons for that. I have dyslexia, and academia was never my strength. And so I just could not see. I barely graduated high school, so I couldn't see myself going to university. But it was hard work. It was a work ethic that I had, and a fair amount of luck.
No, I love that. And like you literally went from like a district manager to a VP to senior VP to the COO in a pretty decent timeline. I mean, so you think it was hard work? Where do you think the luck comes in? Because some say that luck is just a matter of being prepared for when it comes your way. So tell us about that.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I mean, I think that's true. When you're in a growing company, you have to be able to be flexible and be okay with change. And I think that was so true in the early days of Hollywood. There was just so much going on, and you had to be flexible. If you had to go to Texas for 3 months and live in an apartment or live in a hotel, you had to go to Texas for 3 months and live in Austin and do it because we were opening. We just had acquired a company there, Video Central. If it was pack up the family and move to Minneapolis because we did another acquisition out there of Tidal Wave Video, then that's what it took. And there were a lot of people who said no to those opportunities, and I always said yes. And so, yeah, I think in the span of 14 years, 13 years, I was promoted 9 times. I think what I'm most proud of with that, Andrew, is I was promoted by 9 different people. It
Wow.
wasn't like one person liked me. Um, they
Yeah.
were 9 different people who were involved in my growth and my promotion. So that's probably what I'm most proud of. But yeah, it was funny. I was recruited by the founder of Hollywood, and I went to work for them. I left Blockbuster to go to Hollywood, and Hollywood just created an environment where I could be the best Tim Winter that I could possibly be. And it just kept creating opportunities for me. And, I was smart enough to walk through those doors.
I love that. And how did you know how to get out in time? Because obviously, Hollywood Hollywood Video is no more. Like, tell us about. Did you see that coming, or how did that all come about with your
Oh
timeline?
yeah, oh yeah, we saw that coming. That was. I think Hollywood could still exist today, not as video store chains, but certainly as an entertainment player.
Hmm.
I think back in those days, if I'm completely honest, we were rewarded for the wrong things. We were a public company, so we were rewarded for the wrong things. We were constantly rewarded for opening stores, not for being innovative. Our stock price hinged on how many stores we opened in a quarter during the growth stage. I don't think that we were, if I think back on it, there were opportunities to merge with Redbox. There was opportunities to buy Regal Cinemas. There was opportunities to
Oh
get
wow.
involved with HBO, where we would have been in the content business. I mean, I think if the cheese would have been in the right place, we probably would have been a more innovative company. We would truly be Hollywood entertainment today, and we would be in content creation. We would be, it's still involved in home entertainment because obviously it's still a huge industry. It's just the delivery method has just changed, and we were kind of a dinosaur.
No,
And so,
yeah.
some would say that I stayed too long. Some would say that I stayed too long. Really, the reason I left is, I stayed with Hollywood after the acquisition. I was asked by the CEO of the new company if I would stay on. Um, I thought I would stay on for a year. I stayed on for about 17 months, and there just wasn't an alignment uh, between my beliefs and the way that I believe that you treat people and you run a company and the way that the new owners of Hollywood believed. And, I am not one to sit around and complain. If there's not alignment, then there's time to move on.
Yeah.
And I had a really, really beautiful run there, and I'm very proud of all the work I did there. I'm very, very proud of my time at Hollywood, but it was time to move on. It was time to do something else, and that's when I followed my heart and I went into the nonprofit business, and I was the chief operating officer for a very large nonprofit, and that just opened my eyes to a lot of things and a lot of issues, social issues that really yeah, can make a huge impact. And so that filled my tank in a different way.
No, I love that, and that's a good tip too. Is just like always be innovating, and then yeah, just like it doesn't just because you're growing doesn't always mean that's a good thing. It sounds like it just like grow with intention per se. Like to make sure there's more purpose behind growing just to grow essentially. So I like that tip. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mean, I was very proud of myself that I say this all the time that I've never had a job. I'm
Yeah.
61 years old and I've never had a job. And Hollywood started to become a job.
Hmm.
And that's when I knew, like, and the alignment, if you're not aligned with a company, it's very, very hard to do your best work.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like
So,
yeah, you put that just like the importance of having mission and values being aligned, and so that makes a lot of sense. And so, yeah, you also were talking about the transitioning into being involved with philanthropy. So, tell us. I mean, yeah, you're running this multi-billion-dollar corporation or multi-hundred million, and then you decide, oh, I think I want to go into philanthropy more. Like, tell us about that journey.
Yeah, it just really, touched my heart. One of the things that we worked with at Hollywood was Make a Wish, or not Make a Wish, Starlight Foundation. And it went to Starlight, Starbright, but it's the Starlight Foundation. And they basically, what we did was we built um, small movie theaters and entertainment for kids who were in children's hospitals who were
Oh
dealing
wow.
with really bad illnesses.
Hmm.
And we would try to create a little bit of joy and happiness that Hollywood video and the movies bring. And we could bring that right into the hospitals. And it had such a profound impact on me of being able to, and the responsibility of being successful and the responsibility in this world to give back. And, when I talk to college students or when I talk to PhD students who are deciding to go into academia or go into private business, commercial business, I always say, here's the one thing I'm going to tell you is give more than you take in life. And I was given a lot, and I felt like I had to give back, and so I was really curious about it. And I met this amazing CEO who's running one of the largest nonprofits in Oregon. Her name is Kate Turan. She's just an amazing woman, and we met for coffee, and I just was like, wow, this is like a whole different world, and I really really want to be part of what she's trying to build and what she's trying to do. And we went to work together, and I enjoyed every minute of it, and I learned so much about prison reform and the elderly, and just we had a men's residential, a women's residential center, and really could, in a profound way change lives. And what I found is that's a much larger paycheck than any of the other paychecks I've ever gotten. And really being able to use my skills, my talent to do more. And so, that's where it went. And until one day a recruiter called me, and I just realized I was in my 40s and I had a lot of gas left in my tank, and an unbelievable opportunity came to get involved with the School of Rock and in New York City. And people always say people work for people, not companies. And when I sat down with the CEO of School of Rock at the time, I was just like, I don't care what it takes. I don't care what you pay me. I have to work for this guy.
That's cool.
And all these years later, we're still very good friends.
I love that. I love that. And so, yeah, so tell us more about. When the company got acquired and then you left as helping the CEO, it sounds like you were basically retired at that point. So you were putting all your time towards philanthropy because you were kind of retired essentially.
No, not at
Oh,
all. Oh no,
oh,
I was no, I was too young to retire.
okay, okay,
Um,
yeah,
I was way too young. I mean, shit, I can't even retire now. I just, you got to remember, Andrew, I have five children. I will never retire.
that makes sense.
Yeah,
Their kids are expensive. Yeah, yeah,
kids are expensive. No, I just really, and I have a lot of hobbies. So, no, I didn't. No, I still wanted to go out and do something. I just wanted to give back. And so my job became being the chief operating officer of Volunteers of America, Oregon. And it just introduced me to a whole different side of funding, of how government works. Government really doesn't do much. Most of it's farmed out to nonprofits and NGOs who do all the work. And I just found it really fascinating. And I love the work, especially the work that we did with elders. They're largely invisible in this country. We really love youth. We really love young people. We don't you try to go out and get funding for old people. It's almost impossible, but go get funding for children. It's all over the place.
yeah.
And I felt very strongly in my heart that there was a generation that the technology revolution kind of bypassed. And I really wanted to work on creating more because I have this firm belief that the older generation is a national treasure. They have all of this experience and stories and history, and we kind of just send it off to the tar pits. we don't grab that, incorporate, and listen to those stories and appreciate that wisdom. We get frustrated with it. And so I really enjoyed my work, working with the elderly and working with those programs. And then, of course, prison reform, which is just near and dear to my heart. I think there's a place in society for prisons, but I think when we began to privatize them, the model became more about hotels, and it became more about heads and beds than actually helping people to improve their lives.
Yeah.
And yes, sometimes you do things and you have to be incarcerated. But the reality is, like, just here in Oregon, for instance, there's some 14,000 people who are incarcerated. About 85% of those will be released in the next 3 to 5 years. There's a very small percentage that is lifers. And so if you can take that population of people and you can influence them and you can make a change in their lives, then you can stop that recidivism rate and you can create a better community. You can create more productive people. And I just think it's a healthier view on the world than just lock them up.
Yeah. Well, and what caused you to be passionate about prison reform? Did you have a family member who went to prison, or where did that come
Well,
from?
I'm just working at VOA and I just saw the craziness of it. And we had this unbelievable program that we worked with the Oregon prison system. And we would go in and we were trying to find these 18 to 25-year-olds who were in the system. And if we could get to them and we could teach them and help them have a brighter side on the outside, then it fundamentally changed their life and we could reduce that recidivism rate. Because out of that 85% that will get out in the next 3 to 5 years, about 75, 80% of them will go back.
Wow.
In fact, they don't measure their life in terms of years. Like, oh, in 1974, I was 30 years old. They measure their lives in time in and time out. Oh, yeah, I was out for about 6 months that time. Or, oh, I was out for about a year. That's how they measure their lives. It's time in and time out.
Wow.
They know they're going to go back in. It's just a matter of time.
Wow.
And I just found it really amazing. And my work, and I don't know. I don't know. I think after spending some time in the prisons and talking to young people who, just made dumb mistakes, and then they found themselves in this place, I just thought that it was a really interesting place to put my energy, and I was passionate. I met so many wonderful people that it was really moved me and pushed me to do that work.
Wow. I love that. I love that. And so yeah. So tell us more about. Well, when you were talking about getting bigger checks through philanthropy than your jobs, you're talking about like fulfillment checks, right? You weren't talking about actual cash checks, right?
Yeah, yeah, fulfillment.
Okay. Okay. So just double checking there.
I always say nonprofit is not.
Okay. I would
You're
be
not getting
surprised
big
about
check.
that. Yeah.
No, no, no. I've always said, like when you're running a large team of people and you see people be successful, or somebody goes off and gets promoted and goes to a new company, that's the paycheck for
Yeah.
me. For me, that's the paycheck. When you see, John Stevens become a president at T-Mobile, back from Sprint then to T-Mobile, but
Yeah.
he worked for me as a district manager. For me, that's the paycheck. Matt Milagro, in the successful career he's had at T-Mobile, he started at Hollywood as a store manager,
Wow.
and the career that he has now. I just, for me, that was always the paycheck. That was the work, because you work so closely with these people and you really have such an influence on their lives. And then to see them go off and be successful is very rewarding.
Yeah. Well, and so tell us, when it comes to scaling, nonprofits or for-profits and businesses, what do most people get wrong when it comes to, hey, I want to go from, helping, 1,000 people to 10,000 people, or I want to go from 2 stores to 5 stores. Like, what do most people get wrong when it comes to scaling things?
They either try to do it too fast, they don't have enough capital, um, or they want to grow for growth's sake. And I always tell people that I always ask them why. Why do you want to grow? Like, do you want to grow for growth's sakes? Um, is it just because you want to grow, or what? And I think people need to be very clear on what they want and what their intentions are, because growing is difficult.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people don't take the time to downshift. They try to take the hill in fifth gear, and they wonder why they're not making, the person next to them is passing by them. Well, the person next to them took the time to downshift into second gear and can take the hill a lot faster. So I think taking the time, and then I think being very, very clear in your intentions. Do you want to be 10,000 people just to be 10,000 people? Or do you want to be 10,000 people because the work you're doing means something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think when you just, I've seen it so many times. People do it for the paycheck, or they want to create wealth. And that's not the greatest motivator.
No, it makes sense. I love that. Yeah, knowing your why behind things. Um,
Yeah.
and then what about it sounds like you've been very fortunate that since you went to high school though, right? When you say you didn't go to school, did you go to high
Yeah.
school?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So it sounds like though since you left high school, like every work environment you've been in has sounds like it's been healthy and great and incredible. And so, what advice would you give to other people who want to be a part of or create amazing work environments and great work cultures?
Well, again, I think it's, people, I steal this from Steve Jobs, but one of my most proud of what I said no to.
Hmm.
And I think you have to know thyself when you're in. This is the mistake people make, right? When you're interviewing, interviews are two-way streets. People always think that it's a one-way street,
Yeah.
but you're interviewing the company as much as the company is interviewing you.
Hmm.
And I think I've always been in a position to be able to say no. And I've looked for opportunities and I look for alignment. When I'm interviewing with a company, I don't really care what the name of the company is. I care more about the people who are there and who am I interviewing, and do they truly care? And do they care about people? And are they going to create a heroic environment where people can feel valued? We spend so much time at work, and I've seen it. I've seen it. Here's the other thing, Andrew. I've seen the success that you can have when you create that environment. When people are genuinely aligned, they're all in sync to a vision. They're working together. You get rid of all that drama. You get rid of all that noise that we've become so accustomed to, and you just do the work, and that's really rewarding. So I think for me, yeah, I've been very selective, and I've looked for companies that are aligned with that. And I ask those questions in the interview. Because look, I can't help who I am. I am going to be that way, right? I am
Yeah.
going to create a heroic environment. I'm going to be pro people. I'm going to be people first. That's just the way. And if that's not a fit for your culture, then hey, it was great meeting you.
Yeah. No.
I'll
Yeah.
go. I'll go. And I think a lot of people think it's a one-way street and they're just hoping to get the job, and then they're going to try to squeeze themselves in and put a square peg in a round hole. I know I'm a square peg. I need a square hole. I know that. And so why would I try to do anything other than that?
Well,
It just doesn't work.
so tell us a story of like who. It sounds like you've interviewed a lot of people for roles and job positions throughout your career. Is there anyone that really stood out to you, like, wow, this is one of the most impactful, crazy, incredible interviews I've ever been part of? Like, I couldn't wait to hire this person, bring them on board. Like, yeah, what can people do to like really stand out when it comes to interviews?
Well, I think there's two sides to that. I mean, just hands down, an amazing interview that I can go back in my head here was John Sanders, who I hired in Seattle, Washington, to be a regional manager at Hollywood Video.
Hmm.
And literally, he met me at my hotel. We were sitting down in the lobby, and it was like talking to myself. And there was an energy and a synergy that I can't explain. And I knew we had to hire him. Like I knew we had to hire him that day. And there was just this alignment. We were finishing each other's sentences. And, all those years ago, and gosh, that was 25, 26 years ago.
Wow.
We're still friends today. In fact, John spoke at my wedding. I
Oh,
mean, that's,
wow. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there was just an alignment, and then he did an unbelievable job. He was a fantastic regional manager, and I just remember that interview just being, like I remember getting into my car going, "Wow." I have the right person. Now I hope he accepts our offer, right? Like,
Yeah.
so,
Do you think he
but
did a
I think
bunch of? Oh, go
what
ahead.
you can
Yeah.
do or what you can't do, I think you got to be yourself in an interview. What I always tell people, I make my decision in the first 10 minutes because I've been doing it for so long. The other 50 minutes is because you put a tie on. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I can usually, and I think I've gotten so, I had an HR manager one time. I was the CEO of a company, and I had this HR manager after we interviewed somebody, Sarah, and she came to me and she goes, I, I don't know what you got some mojo going or something, but I have never in my entire life, Tim, I've sat in about 5 interviews with you, and I cannot believe what people tell you. And I go, yeah, because I get really real with them and I get really unassuming and I get super comfortable. And once people get comfortable, oh my God, they start telling you everything.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes interviewers keep it too formal and there's lots of reasons for that. But I just I want to get to know the person. Look, hire for attitude, train for skill. And I hire for attitude and I hire for alignment. And I know you're smart and you can do the job. And if you can't, we'll train you how to do it. But I'm looking for I hire over attitude over skill all day long. And then I'm looking for alignment and I take the time to tell them what my vision is. Here's what you're going to be part of. And if you don't like this, like we are pro people. I tell people I love them. I still to this day hug people. I know you're not supposed to and all that, but I
I love
still hug.
hugs. Hugs are
I do
great. Yeah.
too. I still hug people. I still use the word I love you. I
Hmm.
still tell people I work with I love them. I was at a HR conference in Atlanta one time and this attorney stood up and goes, in this really deep drawl, I'm so tired of people saying at work that they love their team and I love this and you can't use the word love at work. And I was like, what are you talking about? If I don't love the people I work with and I don't love the work I'm doing, why am I doing it? The problem isn't love. The problem is in the English language, we only have one word for love and it has a romantic connotation. And so we want to ban it. Well, that's not an issue with that's an issue with the language, not with the intent. And of course, I love the people I work with. I spend a lot of time with them and I'm invested in them and I want them to be successful. And of course, I love the work I do. So I think love is. I wrote a blog years ago called, "P.S. I love you," or hashtag I love you, and it was yeah. I will. I say that a lot at work, and so I let people know what kind of environment. I mean, I've been criticized before. They've called me the aromatherapy zone. The this. Oh, Tim doesn't care about anything. You just better have a you know a celebration board in your office. He cares more about that. You know what? If you focus on the little things and your details are right, then probably all the big things are good too.
Yeah.
Every time I ever went into a store, and you're talking to a guy who's overseeing 400 or 500 retail stores at any given time. That's a big organization. I remember when I first took over San Francisco, I walked in and my one of my district managers, we got into the car, Pat McEwen, and he says, "Do you have like a bladder problem or something? Because every store we go into, you go to the bathroom first."
Uh-huh.
I go, "Yeah, because if the bathroom's clean, I know how hard or how not hard I have to look at the other stuff in the store
Oh,
because they're there
interesting.
all day. If
Yeah.
their bathroom is clean, then their HR files are probably good. Everything else is probably good. I can spend more time on the people and I can spend more time on helping them to grow their business. Because,
Yeah.
every time you go into a store, they want more. I need more labor. I'll give you all the labor you want. You can have all the labor you want. You just have to drive your top line revenue because
Yeah.
top line revenue fixes all the bottom line revenue issues. You can have all the labor. Our labor was a percentage of revenue. So
Yeah.
you want more labor? Get more revenue. So let's talk about how to get more revenue. Well, your new release wall isn't right. Well, your PVs are mispriced. Well, you're not marketing this right. Your store's dirty. Whatever it is, right? You're not greeting people when they come in. I mean, we can just boom, 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 boom pretty easily. But, again, I spent a lot of time in my life in that business and I knew the triggers and the levers to pull to generate revenue. And I just, yeah. That's kind of the way it was.
Well, and I feel like though, in marketing, that they teach you the importance of location, location. But like you say, these are, what most people think are supposed to be basic things. Greet your customers, keep your store clean, have good pricing. Were there any stores that had a bad or terrible location, but because they were doing things correctly, doing things right, they were actually performing just as well, if not better than other better location stores, essentially?
Yeah, I mean, I will tell you that location was very important in the video business, right? You had to have good egress, regress. They had to be easy to get into, out of. They usually had to be on a pad in front of a grocery store because you were talking traffic. The average
Yeah.
video store, 2,000 to 2,500 transactions a week,
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay.
and most of
Yeah.
those happen Thursday, Friday, and Saturday,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And out of those 2,500 transactions, what people never realize is all that product came back, right? It was rental. So all that product was returned. And so it all had to be put back on the shelf continuously, right? It was a continuous loop. So, but yes, I would tell you that we had locations that were less than optimal, but because of the way the store was run, they performed very, very well.
Interesting.
And on the same note, we had stores that were in perfect locations that were doing $1.2 million in revenue, and with bad management went down to 400,000.
Jeez. Yeah. Jeez.
So
And you didn't
I
hire
do
those
believe.
managers though.
Oh no, oh,
Yeah.
oh, I did not.
Yeah.
I promoted a few of them to customer, um, but yeah, I didn't hire them. That's for sure.
Well, and
And
going
look,
back to
when
your,
working
oh,
with
go ahead.
people, though, Andrew, real quick,
Yeah.
working with people, sometimes you get it wrong, right? And that's why I always tell my team, you know, let's hire slow and fire fast,
Yeah.
because if we know it's not a fit, let's move on.
Yeah. Yeah. That's Oh yeah. What book was that? It was just like the five. I don't remember, some kind of book about the five roles of the company or something like that. It was the book about how this like salesperson was like bringing all this money to the company, but because he like had a bad attitude, like that it actually was better to fire him, and the company did better because of it. I don't forget what the book was called, but anyway, yes, hire
Oh,
slow,
oh,
fire fast.
many times. I can't
Yeah,
tell you how many district managers are, they're dancing in the end zone, and they're having a parade for themselves, but there's all these dead bodies along out on the field.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's not, I don't celebrate that.
yeah. No,
Like,
it's a team effort. Yeah.
winning at all cost is a very short game. I like to play the long game
Oh, it makes sense.
where everybody wins.
And real quick too, when you're talking about love, it's actually the English language's fault that we kind of got screwed over, because in a lot of languages around the world, there's different ways to say I love you, like as a friend, as a lover, as a family member, as a teammate, kind of thing. Where English, if you say I love you, it was like whoa, 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 I don't want to marry you, but you're like
Right, 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 right.
oh
Yeah,
no.
people literally get uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah, and so it's a good to remind people like I love you in this way. Like I'm not trying to like make a move on you, but I love you in this way. It's just to help with the
Yeah,
English language.
oh,
Yeah.
that was the name of my blog. I love you professionally.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Yes.
I love you professionally, and there is a distinction there. And you're right. Like I think in Spanish, there's 6 words for love,
Yeah.
and yeah, we have one,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's true.
Well, so make a little transition here. Tell us, I mean, yeah, how the heck do you balance your energy and time, or time and energy between, yeah, business, family, philanthropy? Like most people go, geez, I can barely manage one of those. How do you manage those big three stones in your life per se?
Well, I like to think I did a good job. I don't know if I did. I think sometimes I missed out on too much with my when my family was younger. The kids are all super successful today. They're all wonderful. They don't seem to be, you know, um, telling me that it was bad. They all tell me they had a wonderful childhood. I think you just have to make choices, and you have to make choices. And like I gave up the game of golf
Hmm.
because I knew why I was building Hollywood. To be good at golf, you have to play golf. It's
Yeah.
not something you can do once a month.
Yeah.
It is a game that requires a lot of practice. And there's a reason why arguably one of the best golfers in the world, Tiger Woods, has a golf coach or swing coach. Like,
Hmm.
why does the best golfer in the world need a swing coach?
Yeah.
Well, because it's a game that requires. Anyway, just like a lot of top executives and a lot of very successful people still need a business coach, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just a different perspective. You get so close to the forest, sometimes you don't see the tree. So I didn't golf because I didn't think it was fair to come home and then spend Sunday afternoon out on the golf course, and it's a long game. So I
Yeah.
gave up the game of golf. Like that was just something I sacrificed. I love the game, but was never great at it. But I love the game. But I gave it up because if I was going to travel Tuesday through Friday, when I came home, I needed to be present. And so I think it's making those sacrifices and then, just deciding what's important to you. It's amazing how we can make time for almost anything if we want to.
Yeah.
And I was never one. I have a lot of energy. I've always had a lot of energy. A lot of people have referred to me as a Tasmanian devil because I just kind of run and just go, go, go. The other thing is my work was my hobby. I love working. I love my job. I love what I do. It's not even work. And so, being able to balance those things has always been really easy. And like I said earlier, I had 5 children, so that required a lot. So I had to make some sacrifices on personal things, and then other things just came together. And then the other thing that I did was I included my family in our give back. There were many times that the kids were involved in those events. The kids were involved in the Starlight Foundation. The kids were involved in things, and I would try to always include the kids when I could.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I think, like in so many things, I don't have the silver bullet. I don't think there is one. I would tell people just try to live your life with intention.
But I take it though you probably had a system in place where like are you take you're part of the 5 a.m. club. Wake up at 5 a.m. every single day.
Oh God, no.
No, no, no. What's your
Oh,
morning?
I hated that. I absolutely hated. Oh, I wake up at 3 a.m. so I can hit the Asian markets. Oh, I only sleep on 3 hours a week. I microdose my sleep. All
Oh my
that.
gosh, yeah.
BS. Oh my God, the founder, the old guy who started, I can't remember his name now, come to me, Twitter. And
Oh,
he used
Elon
to talk
Musk.
about,
Oh, oh,
not Elon, he bought
oh.
it, the guy who
Jack
started
Dorsey.
it.
Yeah,
Jack Dorsey.
yeah,
I sleep every 2 hours for 10 minutes. That way I can stay up 24 hours a day or what. Just nonsense. It's
yeah,
just absolute nonsense. And no, I like to sleep in. There are times when I'm up at 5 a.m. because I have to be or because I've got something big going on. But no, I like to sleep in. I don't, I think again, I was intentional about what I needed to do. I didn't have this big system. I always hated that when CEOs were like, "Oh, I live on 4 hours of sleep, and I juice every it's just it's Boulder Dash.
yeah,
We're human beings. We're human beings, and if we're motivated correctly, and we're focused, and we have integrity. Integrity is what you do when nobody's looking. And over the years, I just saw so many people waste so much time
hmm.
because they could. And I think I just always tried to be intentional. If I can do it, get it done, and be done with it, and move on. But I've seen a lot of procrastinators. I've seen a lot of people, and no, funny. I used to argue with my friend because he would stay in markets on Friday night, and I always tried to get the last flight out on Friday night because even if I got home late, at least I was waking up at home on Saturdays.
Yeah,
And he'd say, "Yeah, but I like to see stores in action at Friday night." And I'd go, "Yeah, but you got to balance the two.
Yeah,
If you, right?" And so I really, really tried to be home late on Friday nights.
I love that. Well, tell us like so. Tell us like your peak like busy schedule as far as like you have all five kids and they're all like decently in age together. Like they're all like 2 years apart or something.
Yeah, yeah, two,
Yeah.
3 years.
So,
And then we have
so
the outlier.
yeah, yeah. So what was your like your peak schedule busyness as far as like full time work plus philanthropy plus raising a family? Like what did that like kind of daily routine look like hypothetically?
I wake up in the morning, get the kids off to school, uh, go into the office. Usually I would be in the office on Mondays and then I would travel Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays. Come back. There was a rare week when I'd be in Seattle or be on the West Coast, but occasionally, and then travel unless there was some big school activity. I don't pride myself on working 25-hour days. I just all thought that was just
Yeah.
BS. I tried to plan really, really productive days, and sometimes they were very long days when you're out on the road. And then I think what's most important, Andrew, is when you're in it, be 100% present. Like when I would get back to the hotel room, I'd be exhausted, whether it was an 8-hour day or because I tried to be present
Yeah.
while I was doing my work. Same thing that I try to even today. I just try to be present. I
Yeah.
don't think I don't like to run around and brag and go, "Oh my God, I'm doing 14 hours a day and I'm, blah, blah, blah," and then I go this. And I think in my life today, I found a little bit more balance. In the last 2 years, I've really found the gym and found that working out and taking care of my body is almost as important as everything else. And I really, really enjoy that aspect. And so I really make time for it in my life. I really, really make time to work out. And so I think if anything has changed, I maybe a little bit more time for Tim. I think when the kids were young, it was that. But at the peak of my life, I was traveling a lot, probably 20 days a month on the road. And then you come home and it's, all the kids' activities and all the things that you need to do and running a house and doing all of those things. Now, we were fortunate, I mean, we were able to afford a housekeeper. We were able to afford people who could take care of the yard. I wasn't coming home and having to mow lawns and stuff. So I was very fortunate in that way. But I think, again, I think live a life of intention, live it with purpose. I make my bed every morning. That is like key. I wake up, even before I take a shower, I have to make the bed. I don't understand people who don't make their bed. I don't know how you start your day.
Yeah.
I always keep my desk extremely clean and empty of clutter, because if you have a cluttered desk, then you have a cluttered mind and you can't be intentional.
I love that.
I just try to be very intentional when I'm working, and then I try to be very intentional when I'm not working.
Yeah.
I used to hate it. I used to hate it, and I can't say I haven't done this, so I'm not pointing fingers. But I would hate when we would do our family trips to Disneyland, and I would see the dad on a business call.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it happens. I get that it happens. But again, when I was with my family, I tried to be very intentional. Just like I used to not carry my cell phone into stores when I was working at Hollywood Video and I'd go travel a store. I wouldn't carry my cell phone into the store. And I had somebody ask me one time, Larry Painter asked me one time, bless his soul. He said, "Tim, how come you don't carry your phone? What if Mark calls you?" I go, "I'll call him back." Look, I have one opportunity to be in the store, and the last thing I want to have happen is my phone rings,
Yeah.
because all that says is who's ever on the other end of this phone is more important than you. Yet I drove all the way here to Lawton, Oklahoma. I'm going to give you 100% of my attention while I'm here.
Yeah. I love that. Oh yeah.
I'll pick up the phone call. I'll have lots of dashboard time. I'll have lots of windshield time. I'll return all the phone calls that I missed. But why I'm in that store or why I'm in that meeting, I'm going to give it 100%.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, just because that being in the present moment, it's just like it's so easy to be distracted nowadays with so many things, shiny object syndrome. So, yeah, people who live in the moment, I've noticed they definitely stand out in many ways. So I do my best to live life that way too. So I
Yeah,
agree.
my wife and I, we finally made an agreement that we don't take our phones into restaurants. If we're going to take the time to go out for dinner, it drives me absolutely bonkers that I go into a restaurant, you see somebody with an iPad and the wife on the phone. Why even go?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
there again, that's being that intentional. There are so many distractions, but there were distractions 20 years ago. There's always those. So being intentional about what you do, how you live your life, when you're at home, when you're at work, that is so key.
no, it makes sense.
And those relationships are important. Treating your wife. I just was talking to somebody on my podcast, and they said what was Zig Ziglar said three things that if he could get rid of everything he ever writ, all of his books, everything, and he just had three things, and the first thing would be court your spouse
Hmm.
because success starts at home.
Yeah. Hmm.
And so many people put work ahead of that. They're this, they're that. They've got their cell phone in front of them. We have so many distractions. Sometimes just sit down and talk.
Yeah.
Go on a walk.
I
Go to
love.
the gym together. I talked my wife in, and she actually enjoys it. We actually spend that's our fun time in the morning. Like let's go, and it's a little competitive and it's a little fun, and we talk about it, and that's a healthy way to live.
Yeah, I
I
think
think.
that's yeah. I've been married. Will be 3 years, and this October 10th. And what I've learned is I feel like you found someone special when you can spend every second of the day together and not get tired of each other. And so I feel like that's a good sign. Like you said, you wake up, you have food together, you go to the gym, then you go for a walk, then you go to dinner, and just like, oh, we still love each other. That's a good sign. So I love that. Being present in the moment definitely helps with that a lot too. So that makes sense. Um, and so, yeah, I know we're coming up to the end of time here, so a few questions left. But yeah, you did bring up your
Sure.
podcast for a second. What would Dave do? So tell us about that podcast for those listening and want to tune in, learn more. Tell us about that podcast that you host.
Yeah, it's a labor of love. It was born out of grief. It was born out of love. It was born out of frustration. I think my best friend of 35 years passed away. He was killed, hit by a car, and killed instantly. Him and I talked on the phone or text each other every day for many minutes for 30 years.
Wow.
He was the best man in my wedding. He went on the first date with me and my wife
Wow.
because I didn't know how to, I was 39 years old. I didn't know how to date. And so he went on the date with me and was my wingman. It was a little weird, but then he ended up being the best man in my wedding. Anyway, he passed away. And so I really wanted to do something that would honor him. And it came to me very clear one night, in the middle of the night, and so I started this little podcast, and I'm very happy to say that we've just hit 50 episodes, and our following is big. We have a cool audience. I love what I'm doing with it. I love the conversations, and the most important part about it is I feel like I work with Dave every day. I say his name every day. My biggest fear is I'd forget him and I'd forget what we had. And so through the grief, I was able to do this and celebrate Dave in a way that's just really special to me. And I love it. And I love the podcast. And I've actually been told I'm pretty good at it. So
Love that.
I really enjoy doing it. And it was totally not planned. I never wanted to be a podcaster. And I just really found a little vein, a niche, an audience, and now I work really, really hard to tell great stories and to interview interesting people and people that I think Dave would be interested in as well.
Yeah, I did listen to your recent episode. Who was the guy who escaped Zimbabwe or
Oh,
something?
Evan, yeah,
Evan.
Evan,
Yeah.
Evan Ma Wee Re Ray.
Yeah, no, that was an incredible podcast episode. Just like very, very inspirational how this one guy literally went against the entire government of his country and just and like it's like I only heard about this before listening to the podcast episode, but there was like a Roman general who did that where he like was captured, and they're like, okay, tell the Romans not to attack us anymore, and then you have to come back and we're going to torture and kill you. And he's like, okay, yeah, sure. So he like went back to Rome, told them, hey, keep attacking, destroy them, and then he still, even after went back to be tortured and killed on his own accord. It's the fact that this Evan guy basically did the same thing, where he like had been
He
tortured.
went back.
Yeah, he escaped, then went back on his own accord to be tortured again. Is just so crazy and mind-boggling to me that people actually do that. Those are real stories, and he's here to tell that story. So. Yeah, it was an amazing episode. Definitely check out the podcast. What Would Dave Do? It's an amazing episode. I think I got to bring Evan on my show at some point too, just because of how inspirational that was.
Oh, he would love it. He would love it. I'd love to
Yeah,
make the introduction.
yeah,
He's a wonderful, and I think that's probably the best part about it. I'm just shocked at the people that I get to meet. I
yeah.
just had Nancy, the head of security for Nancy Pelosi,
Oh
um,
wow.
Andrew Whitman,
Hmm.
who's a resilience coach now, and he took all the stuff that he learned in the Marines, and he learned it being a police officer, and he learned being on executive detail for the Capitol Police, and he took all that and he turned it into a program, and he's just absolutely amazing. He had some real advice for people, and I know that Dave would so enjoy the conversation, and so that's the best part about it.
I love that. Well, last few questions here.
Sure.
Tim, what's the next end game you're working on? Like, what's your next vision, pie in the sky that you're reaching towards, you're going towards?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I really want to see. Well, I still work full time. I'm involved with the Technology Association of Oregon as their chief operating officer, and I absolutely love the work that we're doing. I'm probably going to put my time into Oregon, where I live, the state of Oregon. I think that for the past few years, we've had a rough go of it for a lot of reasons. And I think that there's a way to get involved. And I heard the most beautiful thing in the world. I was talking to Danny Kim, who's the CEO of Lit Motors, and I asked him why Oregon, why Portland, and he says because it's a city in a state of creators and makers. And my head just exploded, and I was like, yeah, that's true. We have such a creative vibe, and we're such a special city on the West Coast. We're not Seattle. We're not San Francisco. We have this wonderful little niche. And 5 years ago, there was a Portlandia, and people were talking about it. It was the number one destination. We were voted the best food. We had all of these things going on, and I think it's creating a vision and bringing that wonderful element of Oregon back because it has so much to offer. 1 hour you're at the coast, another hour you're on the mountain skiing, an hour from there you're in the desert. And there's just so many natural things that make this such a unique place to live. And in our core is we have unbelievable companies that come out of Oregon. We just need a reset, and I think I'm going to put a lot of time and energy into not bitching and complaining, but trying to do something about it and
Yeah.
create that beautiful city on the West Coast that people want to flock to, and where everybody has a chance to be successful. Everybody should have a chance to be successful. Not you. In order to have that, you've got to wrap your arms around the idea that there will always be have-nots. There will always be haves, and there will always be have-nots. And if you can't wrap your head around that, you'll never be happy. But just because you have-nots doesn't mean you shouldn't have a large social safety net that helps them. I fully believe in that. But when it's being squandered and wasted, and you're not getting good value, then why would you do it? And unfortunately, we've had a lot of people move away, and I don't want to move away. I want to invest. And so, pie in the sky, big thing. I would love to get more civically involved. I would love to take all the experience I had, and I would love to help bring Portland, bring Oregon back into really the special little city that it is on the West Coast, and it can be so special.
I love that. And for those who don't know, Tim and I actually met through the Oregon Business Academy, where we're teaching youth professional business skills because we do believe in the youth and leadership potentially have for helping Oregon. And yeah, being born and raised in Oregon myself, it's so awesome to hear, other people being so passionate about the state and wanting to help it grow and expand. And so, no, I love hearing that answer, and definitely want to work with you more on that. So we definitely talk more offline about that, about making that happen. So looking forward to that. All right. Well, I guess last two questions, Tim. If people want to connect more with you, what's the best way to do that if they want to get a hold of you?
Well, you can check me out at timwinter.com, or you can email me at tim@timwinter.com. I'm always open. So it's Tim, just TIM at timwinner, WINNER.com. Hit me up on LinkedIn, hit me up, send me an email. I'm always open to a conversation.
Love that. And then final question is, what's the one takeaway you want someone to have from this interview today?
Um, that I think there's a lot of people out in the world who care deeply, that not everybody who's had some success is greedy and self-serving, that I think there's a lot more people who care deeply. I think that a lot of people get a bad rap. I think it's been uh, an easy thing to point the finger and say that these people are bad, whether it's success, villainizing business. I think has taken on it's had some unintentional consequences. So I think if anything that somebody takes away is that there's a lot of people who care, me being one of them, and care deeply about social issues, who cares deeply about fiscal issues, who cares deeply about the people who need extra help. I'm all for it. I want to help them. But that not everybody's evil. And I think I'll tell you what, I firmly believe this, Andrew. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I want to screw people over. I think I, I think
Interesting.
people
Yeah.
and I think people are inherently good. Certainly there are some bad, but I think people are inherently good. I think it's usually our environment. Are there something that creates that? And if we could just, I teach a class called "Assume Positive Intent and Change the World." Can you imagine we all just assumed positive intent? So when that guy cuts you off on the street, maybe he's rushing to the hospital because his wife's having a baby.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
And if you just assume that maybe he's really got to get to work, it's his first day of work or her first day of work. And yeah, you got cut off, but nobody got hurt. So don't lose too much energy over it. And
Yeah.
give them the benefit of the doubt. Assume positive intent, change the world. Assume positive intent, change your own life. You'll live longer and you'll feel better.
No, I love that. No, that's a great positive message to end on. And just like, yeah, assume positive intent. And oh, that reminds me of the Four Agreements book. Of like, that's one of the top agreements is don't make assumptions, and just just being part of that. But Tim, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on today, sharing your wisdom, sharing your heart, sharing your passion. Love connecting with you. Looking forward to talking with you more offline as well. Definitely check out Tim's podcast. What would Dave do to get your storytelling fixing and be able to connect with Dave in that way as well. And so with that said, thank you everyone. We'll see you next time for the next episode. So thank you again, Tim.
You bet. I appreciate it, Andrew. Take care.